So the topic of today is the light within. This is the continuation of our last meeting. To do a small recap, in our last meeting, I proposed this reference to work with the conceptual energies of there's the shared illusion, the social self. We cling to this identification, and below all of this, it is abstract intellectualization, and often what we call awakening is the process through which we go through those different layers and the clarity we can remember that we are. That's why it's a realization of something. It's not something that we attain, it's something that we remember. So as I said, is true awakening only begins when you break out of the intellectual house of mirrors, because thoughts really is a perceptual illusion, a perceptual fractal that proposes to us a version of reality, a version of what we are, and a version of who is the other, who are the other. And everything starts from those erroneous interpretation. And any interpretation, it's a concept, it's an idea. That's why it's so important, the clear experiential understanding of direct experience. What is the difference between a direct experience, a direct inquiry into my experience, and being lost in imagination and fantasy, in thoughts? So if we take the interpretative framework, the thought, right? My experience as an individual, it's an interpretation. So it arises within the light that we are, within our true essence. And it manufacture, to have an experience, you must manufacture a limited perspective from which you will experience whatever, consciousness desire. Just like if you take a dream, to have an experience, you have this impression, this manufactured self, this perspective within the dream. So even though the whole dream is within your mind, the fact that the mind, your finite mind, is producing an inner experience, you will feel as if you are inside of it. So it manufactures a me, right? That's why there is two circles, seemingly to try to represent the eyes, right? Because often the visual field is the more is the visual experience is the one experience that we give so much credit for, so much power and reality. But our experience is manufactured with different, is one seamless whole, but we can differentiate three main categories. Yeah, just for the purpose of conveying pointers. And those three categories is sensation, perception, and thinking. If we look at our experience, those are the three main categories that we can see very, very clearly. I clearly feel that if I'm telling you right now, feel your body, you will, yeah, of course, I feel my body. If you may like, it is maybe enjoyable or not, but you can directly have access to the sensation. If I say, listen to the birds or to the sound around you, you will go still in your experience, but you will go a little bit, it will be different, right? You know where to point at. And if I tell you, look at the thought, is there any thought? You will go and you will find a different texture. Okay, so that's why there is these different layers of experience, and experience is a manufacture of those different layers. So when you mix all of those, it creates phenomena. It creates the capacity to differentiate within infinity finite objects, such as the stars, the universe, which are the physical law. right? And you can differentiate nature, animals, trees, and obviously what we are more interested in others, right? My family, my children, my partner, my friend, other, the relationship, right? The other being out there. So this is what we can say phenomena. It's a phenomena arising within me, within the awareness that I am. So it has a spontaneous polarity. And that's what we explored in the meditation. Whenever you feel uncomfortable in your body is because there is the memory, some kind of notion that, oh, this could be more comfortable with. There is the notion that this could be different. So that's why phenomena always contain this notion of polarity, and that's why we use the word duality. This is the word, this is a dual world where there is good and bad, when there is pleasure and pain. But it's important to really perceive that this is an appearance within myself, right? So there is positive and negative, expansion and contraction, peace and war, love and fear. That's how we often believe, right? That, oh, I feel contracted in my body, and to be released from this contraction, I have to search, I have to seek, I have to investigate into to reach some kind of expansion, to reach the resolution of the tension in my body, in order to reach some kind of expansion. So why non-duality is different from many others therapy or spirituality is non-duality propose that even a state of expansion is still phenomena, is still an experience, is still something that is appearing, and seemingly appearing to you, to a specific individual that's, that is limited. That's why there is this notion of endless seeking, or samsara. Some use samsara. It is known also like in the Buddhist tradition. Because if you are not perceiving that the good and the bad are appearing in phenomena, you will always stay in a state of seeking, of searching for something. If you feel pain, you will seek pleasure, and when you have pleasure, you will be afraid to lose it. You'll be afraid to go back into pain. So non-duality is a pointer. It's a doorway to go beyond negative and beyond the positive, to that which is prior to those phenomena, to those dualities. Now, there is something very, very interesting that when I'm hearing conversation often is not very clear. And there is a confusion between the direct path and the process, the spiritual path that propose steps and a clear like stairs to reach who you are, right? So the main difference, and they are very similar in the intention, but they are different in their proposition, how to approach your experience. In the appearances seem that the more I do some kind of mindfulness, some kind of spiritual investigation or retreat or inquiry or process, I feel better as a person. I feel better with my environment. I feel better with the world out there and with myself. I have a better vision of who I am. I have a better sense of identity that is more pleasant. But there's nothing wrong with this. The idea from a spiritual perspective is the more you do those techniques and this purification, the more you get near of your true nature, the more you will reflect your true nature, because our true nature is eternal. So when I feel stressed, my belief in time is very strong. So I will feel more far away from eternity. And when I feel most relaxed, that there is no time, or everything is fine, everything will arrive at its own pace, everything is okay, you relax into with the notion of time, so you will reflect better this sense of eternity. But it's still a reflection. It's better to be with someone that talks to you nicely, that is transparent, that is capable of expressing its needs and its emotion. That's someone that is aggressive and violent with you. Because violence is a reflection of conflict, and there's no conflict in what we are, because there's nothing else to be in conflict with. So when you seek harmony with the environment and others, you will reflect better our true nature. The difference with the direct path is you don't need to care about any of this. let let you experience just as it is, and look within. That is self-realization. What is that is aware? And it doesn't matter how your personality, how the body and how the world appear, doesn't matter. What really matters is what is the witness within, what is the nature of that which is aware. Because this nature of what you are is the same as in everyone, and that's the essence of reality. And through this light, through this realization of what I am, you find true freedom. Freedom from I don't care where I am in any framework, because all framework are illusory, and there is no near or far from reality. This is it. You don't need to change anything. You are perfect. You are perfect as the being that you are, and you are completely imperfect as a human. It doesn't matter where you are as a human, because the only thing that you really are is the light. So you don't have to worry about anything else. That's a different approach. But essentially, the same will happen, because the more we relax with our experience, the more our experience tend to reflect reality and the qualities of reality, of being patient, of being non-confrontational, compassion, all of the aspect that people want to realize or seek or try to manufacture or to change themselves into, they will appear naturally in your life. So the light within is something that is very, very beautiful. It's a beautiful idea. It's this idea. It's not an idea, but it's a beautiful way of expressing it. What I am, that's what we explore in our meditation at the beginning. What I am is free from the phenomena. I am free from my sensation. I am free from my perception, and I am free from my thoughts. There is something that is free from this. This something is the light within. So this light is the bridge that will right take me back, as to say, to my true nature. And the image that I can have here, I think it makes sense. When I go to a movie and I enter the theater and I sit and the movie begins, there is something in me that says, okay, I know that this movie is not happening. That's only light projected on a white canvas. I know this for a fact. Nevertheless, I will accept to then I will take a part of my mind and I will deny this fact. I will deny the fact that I'm in a room with light and sound and there's nothing happening but me sitting here. I will deny this fact in order to have an experience, to have fun. And because I deny this, I can watch the movie and say, oh, this is happening. Oh, this is the drama, the actor, and the relationship, and time, and space on the screen. And the body will reflect to me my own interpretation, and I will have emotions. And it will feel real for the body and feel real for a part of my mind. But at any point, I can snap out of this reality and say, "Oh, it's simply a movie," and all emotion can disappear. All the emotion caused by the image, not by image, but by the interpretation, the wrong, the erroneous interpretation of the light, those seemingly cause will disappear. They will stop causing tension and emotion in the body. Because I will readjust with the reality, which is there is simply, we are in a room, there is light and sound, and there's nothing happening. So when I willingly deny the reality of the theater to enter into the drama of the movie, I dissociate my mind into two different parts. But they are always connected, right? It's not like if I go to a theater, I will not keep all my existence lost in the scenario of the movie. So that's the light within, right here, right now. There is something in us that knows that all of this, it's a game. It's a phenomena. Even if you don't like it, it's just like a movie. We go to see horrible movies with fear, with violence, with separation, with pain, just for fun. So this is happening, but there is something that remember that it's not really happening in the way that my mind is presenting to me. So why it's a very powerful idea? Because if you really take this idea deeply, you will start to see that every book and teaching that you are in contact with, this is the light presenting itself to you as those symbols. All the relationships that you have are there to support you to realize who you are. They will show you things that you need to perceive at this precise moment. The accident, just the same. That is accident that is seemingly, from outside, or accident also diseases from within the body or within the mind, That's also part of this remembering process, the process of remembering who we are. And the revelation is just the same. When you have a certain revelation, or things happen, that's the light that is showing up. If I take again this image of the dream, if you have a child that is having a nightmare and you are the parent, and you know that shaking up the child to waking him from the nightmare is not a good idea, because the transition can be too strong. So you sit with the child, and you start to speak to him very gently in the ear. Hey, my child, hello, that's a dream. You are safe. I am here. You are loved. You are loved. This is not happening. This is not happening. Let it go. But imagine that each time that the parents say speaking something sweet to the child, this in this he will hear it, and there will be an interpretation. But because he's in a nightmare, this interpretation will be translated into something that he can make sense in his nightmare. So if he's having a nightmare about, let's say, dragons that are pursuing him, maybe listening to the voice of the mother or the father, he will start to imagine that there's a knight protecting him. Even though there is no dragon, even though there is no knight, but that's something that can be supportive. That's exactly the same here. Every time you find a good teacher, a good book, a good relationship, well, you can say thank you. That's great. But you say thank you for this inner light that is showing you the way. And when you have a bad teaching, bad books, when you lose a lot of money in a bad retreat, when you have terrible relationship, when you have accidents and disease, well, you say thank you too, because that's also part of it. And that way, everything starts to be a learning tool, and complaint will start to disappear immediately. So it's a beautiful idea, really, 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 really powerful. And that's why direct experience is cut through everything. Remember this, I showed you before that you can be nearer of the light and you can be further away. That's very fun idea, and that's fine. But at the end, here is your experience. This is all you have. Even when you compare with others, is within this frame, that is it is within the phenomena, the comparison you have with others. So what is here and what is now is will cut through all of the conceptual layers. And you will start to see that you wanted everything that you wanted to get rid of is a revelation of reality. It's a revelation of light. There is nothing to get rid of. Pain is not pain. And at some point, you can reach and really see that there is no distinction between my being and experience. There is this transparent and timeless cloud of eternity, of infinity that is here. Within which the ideas of good and bad, of process, of spiritual layers, or conceptual energies are fine and supportive, but they're all pointers to the direct recognition of reality and the direct recognition of my true nature, what I am. So this is the idea of the light within. The solution cannot be found within the boundary of the problem. And from the perspective of the solution, the problem does not exist. So when I am stuck in my interpretative framework, in my limited perspective, the only way I can step out if there is something outside of it that show me the way. Because I will not be able by myself with the information I'm perceiving. The information I'm perceiving is contaminated by the boundary already. If we take again the image of being seated in a theater, I'm so hypnotized by the theater that something from outside need to come and tell me, maybe this is a movie. Maybe this is not as real as you feel it to be. And that's the light within. The light within is coming and is showing us it is presenting this light is presenting itself as symbols in our life through teachings, through books, through family experience, accident, revelations. So this was a little exploration of the light within. Now we will move on to the questions. I feel very, it's very curious to present a topic because I am aware that is inaccurate. Also, I feel it can be very supportive. It's also interesting because I can see that every interpretation is correct. Every whatever is happening to you, your experience, and the way you are understanding what you are, and every goal that is set within you is perfectly fine. As soon as I understood that the perception I'm having, it's a limited perception, it's a limited understanding on what's going on what is reality, what are the others, and what I am. It's a phenomena, it's an idea appearing into it. So there is no one is having a mistaken experience. There is no error because everything is appearing instantaneously, immediately. There is no distance, no gap, nothing. There is something, there is this light within that is showing us the way. Not to become something else. Not that there is something wrong with us, but really the opposite. The light within is telling us there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with anything. Look at it directly, pay attention, and you will see. And it's beautiful because we are this this infinite and divine intelligence that is holding everything together is this light within. So that which knows everything is already guiding us already. There is no failure possible, and there is no mistake. So now we are going to shift to the question. If there is any question, you are welcome to speak.